What's up, guys? What's going on? I know, sorry, interrupting people as always. What's going on? Welcome to the podcast. This is Facts Not Included. I'm your host, Peter Cabranes, and of course, joined by the other host, his name, Antonio Connolly. What's going on, Antonio?
Hey, actually, it's funny. Like you and Mike have a bunch of like duo episodes,
We have like
and
two, not a lot.
yeah, I mean, it's like there are more episodes with me not on it and
No.
Mike in it. No, because you're right. So there's
Oh, like the new reincarnation of Facts Not
yeah,
Included.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Probably, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so uh, it's nice that you and I are on one thing right now.
So
Like
you're just
I don't mind.
saying that it's nice not to have Mike on.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying for. We'll get into it, but it's for this episode specifically.
You know what this
Mike's
episode
stupid.
reminds me of already? Remember when Mike was not anything but a producer? Not even a producer, he was just a guy that watched our shows.
Yo, man, he was the producer. He was the guy who pressed the buttons. Beep, beep,
He
boop,
would
bop.
forget to press the buttons when we would tell him to. And then he would get mad at us for paying attention.
It's like, Mike, is it recording? Of course it's recording. 30
Yeah.
minutes in. Oh, shit.
Yeah, oh, guys, it stopped. I remember those days. College days. Those are fun. But yeah, no, today's episode is our little review of what's the name of the exact name of the movie? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
I think is the name of the film. I didn't know that until really I saw the movie today. I kept forgetting. I was like, I'm seeing Spider-Man something.
Really?
Spider-Man
You
something.
You didn't. I mean,
I don't know.
okay, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, they didn't because Into the Spider Verse is such a it's a mouthful.
Because it's not anything. It's not real. Like, Spider-Verse wasn't. It's not really a thing. So like, I kept talking.
Well,
like,
I mean, it is. It's like one of Spider-Man's biggest comic storylines.
right? No, not like in the
past,
real
like-
world.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's
Infinity
not, like,
War.
Far From
Those are
Home
two
or-
words.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
a real word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spider-Verse
Oh, I
is.
get what you
you
mean.
know,
Yeah, that goes into what I was gonna say. Is like a lot of people know about the film, and then there's a lot of people who don't know about it.
Right.
Point in case, our third man, Mike, did not know this movie was real.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be shown for one day only.
Yeah, he thought it was like a Fadman event or like something that they put on TV on like Disney XD. I feel like.
That's true because it is a movie that like no one saw coming. I mean, when it was announced, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be weird," given like the whole hype of like there being a new Spider-Man in the real live action world. So how could there be an animated one? How's this gonna work out? Are they gonna connect? Like people were asking all these weird questions, and so like
Oh, yeah.
I could see why people were confused. Or like unsure of like what does any of this mean and who's making it? Is it Marvel or is it Sony? And obviously it turns out Sony
Sony was doing it
plastered their name everywhere they could in
All
this
over.
movie. Loved it.
everywhere.
Loved it.
Everywhere. I did enjoy that too. It's kind of like a big stinger to Marvel and the fans after two shitty, amazing Spider-Man movies. So
Yeah, I mean it's also their way of going like let every character in the movie use a Sony phone, let every character use Sony headphones. Let's just brand recognition this because like you probably wouldn't know it's a Sony movie unless you actually paid attention to the opening credits because it says Sony. But like other than that, you may not know, and so it's good to let people like, oh, okay. And then there's also like Coca-Cola. There's like blatant ads in this movie, which is weird for
Yeah.
like an animated film because it's like you expect that from like
Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph.
yeah, that's true. You expect it from a higher budget studio.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I mean that and
Sony Pictures Animation doesn't like they have big budgets, but compared to other projects like
also like the movie doesn't call for it. Like Wreck-It Ralph and the Ralph Breaks the Internet calls for you to have ads because it's the internet.
yeah.
And the first movie it had like Nintendo stuff, like it had IP that we were
Oh yeah,
like.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
this movie doesn't
Bowser,
call for
Street
it.
Fighter stuff. Yeah, a ton of things.
Yeah.
A ton of things just for callbacks. Yeah.
So funny thing, before we actually talk about the movie, I was on kind of running late to my film today. I saw it in the morning at 11, and I missed my bus to get into the city. So I was like, oh, okay. I wound up getting a bus at like 10:05, and the movie starts at 11, and it takes a lot longer than an hour for me to get to that specific theater. And next thing I know, I don't get to the theater until 11. I'm outside the theater at 11:15. Now, I'm not someone that has unlimited data. I know, crazy, right? 2018, but I don't. It's expensive in some instances. But anyway, so I don't have it, and so my AMC app wasn't opening. I signed up for A-List. I will do a review on how I feel about A-List very soon, probably the next couple of days or weeks. But anyway, so it wasn't opening, and I was like, oh my god! So I had to run back to the train station, hop on the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
and that spent a good 5 minutes because for some reason it didn't want to connect to the Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to miss this movie. This is great. I'm like 20 minutes late at this point. Or at least I'm thinking I am. I run inside, they check my ID, I go upstairs, and next thing I know, I walk into the room and I see like these colorful animations, and I'm like, oh, this might be the movie. Oh no. And it says, and then the Marvel logo comes across. I was like, oh, thank God. It hasn't yet started. It's like starting right at this very moment. So I run up to as always, I sit in the last row. So I run up all the way to the last row, and I sit in my seat, and I'm like, my heart is like racing because I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh, did I miss it? Did I not? I was perfectly fine. I literally, the moment I sat down is probably when like the beginning of the actual movie started. So I was so happy. I was freaking out. It was like, because I told myself, if I miss 1 second of this movie, I'm going to be pissed.
No, yeah, you kind of, honestly, for this movie, you kind of have to watch every single second of it because it's visually fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's colorful, it's bright, it's beautiful, different animation styles that fit the premise of the movie. So if you miss a second of it, you would feel bad about it.
What did you see it in regular digital, like nothing special, right? Nothing
Yeah,
fancy?
I didn't see it in like what is it, Regal 4D or
Yeah.
whatever, I RPX. I wanted to.
I saw it in IMAX.
Oh wow, okay.
But like, you're the BS IMAX. The IMAX that's like in every theater.
Yeah.
So it was a regular size screen, nothing fancy, nothing going there. But did you have the same feeling I had because of the artwork? Were there moments that you felt like the movie was going 3D and then you realized it wasn't?
Yes.
Okay, so
I
thought they forgot to give me glasses. Cuz like I was like, I didn't pay for 3D. Why does it look like this? Okay, so I was not the only one.
Yeah, there are scenes where it, like, the 3D animation starts kind of popping out due to the premise of the movie. Again, we're not talking too heavy into the synopsis yet, but yeah, that
I think it has to do with the art style, being that they want to not reintroduce, but that they want to like, I guess, reinvent for an animated form the idea of a comic book strip on a film. Because like the artwork, I forget what they call that artwork, but the old style of the dots in comic, but like they use that throughout this whole movie, and that, I think, when you render that onto a big screen, it made it look like they were over each other. And so it felt like I should have been wearing 3D glasses. I don't think I would like this movie in 3D because I think I would have like some sort of seizure or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think I would do well with this movie in 3D.
I kind of feel like it's very reminiscent of a Doctor Strange viewing for me. Like I think Doctor Strange was shown in 3D, but I wouldn't watch that movie in 3D. It's just too many colors, too much popping, too many weird like special effects, and that kind of happens in this movie a little bit due to certain circumstances,
right.
That we'll obviously elaborate on later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like, you're right. It feels seizure inducing.
They don't. No, go ahead.
Yeah, because of like popping out and like sometimes flashing of certain characters and like certain things happen. So yeah, you're right. I wouldn't like it in 3D.
Yeah, so full disclosure for those that do have those medical issues, do not go see this movie. Very, very flashy, very bright, very colorful, to the point where for some people it might affect them. I'm not too sure how that works. I'm not a doctor, obviously, and I don't really know anybody that deals with that stuff, so I might be wrong. Maybe it's totally fine to go see. I don't know, but just be aware that it's possible. But anyway, so the movie starts. I liked I liked the idea of going like, "Hey, I'm Peter Parker, and this is my story, basically," and like,
Yeah,
um, and the idea of like the story already, so quickly showing Uncle Ben and stuff like that, um,
yeah.
and in this world, Aunt May is already passed on, at least for that Spider-Man. Sorry, no, not that one. The other
No,
one.
no, no.
The other one. The
It's
other one.
not.
Sorry. Yes,
Oh,
yes. I
oh,
forget. This one, she's a total badass.
yeah, yeah.
This May is totally yeah, yeah. So sorry. So obviously Ben's passed. Every your normal
Stereotypical
yes
Earth
the
616, essentially. I mean,
classic Spider-Man origin story is told in like 10 seconds.
yeah.
Um, and
And I,
then yeah,
oh, go. No, I'm just gonna say I really like that because, um, a lot of it's the internet. Everyone has the internet. Everyone knows Spider-Man's origin story, right?
right,
That's the one reasons why in Homecoming and in also Civil War they didn't just dive into it as much because
right.
everyone knows it, and that's like the meme. Spider-Man's been rebooted like 3 times in
Mm-hmm.
the movies, so everybody knows it. So having that small little comic book esque like flashback, like how like the Marvel logo tends to go, and him just explaining it for 5 seconds, beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
even
it. That's all you need to do.
one of my coworkers was even like, he didn't know this movie was coming out, and he was like, another Spider-Man movie. I was like, well, it's not another one because it's live. It's not live action. It's animated, so I give it a break there, and also like, it's end big deal if it's another one. That's what I said.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, end. And he's like, oh, I'm sick and tired. Just be less Batman, less Spider-Man, more. Give me everything else. I respect that. I get that. He's like, that's why I like Ant-Man and Black Panther. I was like, I got you. I got you, man. But every now and then, I want, and this is why I like this Spider-Man movies because it's a different. It's not different for comic book fans, but it's different for the average moviegoer. It's like, whoa, I've never seen that before.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Like I might have seen it in like a weekend cartoon, maybe like the idea of something like this, but to see it full fledged on a full a screen, big screen, like it's kind of reinventing a reinventing of like an animated movie because um, I could see them using this style for other films down the line.
Right.
This is not like this is a total. I don't. Again, I might be wrong, but it's a total. It looks like a total recreation of that old comic book style that I've never seen before on an animated movie. So
Mhm.
go for it, guys. Like if you could use that style somewhere else, I'm giving you my money.
Yeah.
Because that's
I,
part of the
I
reason why people went to go see it.
right. I mean, besides also the cast of characters in itself, they're really like fan beloved characters at this point now. Um, you know, uh, we'll obviously get to more characters on the line, but I think Spider-Man and maybe Deadpool have that comic book esque like. I feel like they could do this. They're
Mm.
like I feel like they're the only two characters that can really do that properly. If they like Batman's a little too serious, Superman's a little too serious. Like the X-Men are kind of there's too many of them.
Are you
Uh,
saying so like to take it from live action and put it into animated, but but as a feature length movie is what you're saying?
um, well, no, I mean like the whole comic book esque like, so this is what's happening, and then they'll do everything via like panel by panel type of animation style.
Oh well, I
You know
wasn't
what I
even
mean?
talking about. Yeah, that I agree, but I wasn't even talking about that. I was just talking about like the
Oh,
art style in general, like the idea
oh,
of
okay.
like we've
Yeah.
never seen this specific type of art style in a feature length film, um, probably ever that I could think of.
Okay, yeah, okay. So the I like to call it it's because there's that animation style kind of for Miles and them is kind of a really really well refined. I call it the 2.5 style. There's probably a proper name for it. You could Google that. That's just my name for it. But because it's not so much 3, but it's not so much hand drawn 2.
Right.
But I like this because the usual 2.5 style is in a lot of like Japanese cartoons where like they give them a bunch of money and it just looks like horrible. It just looks trash.
Well, you get that from the Japanese character here. They make her look a little different than the others.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But again, we'll get to that. That was cool. The way, again, just different art. It felt like an episode of oh, jeez, I'm blanking on the name of it. Gumball. It felt like an episode of Gumball.
Oh yeah, because there were moments in this movie where it felt hyper realistic. Where I was like, they must have used like the Unreal Engine on some of these things. There's a moment where he's walking into the train system, and they pan, and I was like, whoa, is that a real image of a train track? For like, part of me was like, whoa, what are they doing? That's so cool. But yeah, so art style is fantastic. I do agree with you. Yeah, it's kind of like, if anything, it's like a 4D, not even in some cases. So
yeah, in certain circumstances like, where where they do like the panel flashes on some of the buildings when he's when he's swinging past stuff, or like Miles jumping down, or like specifically the scene where he's going up the building and then going down the building.
Right.
It just looks really, really beautiful. Like it's just the film is beautiful.
Yeah. Other like if you have like any gripes about this movie, like, oh, how good is it? What it's fantastic, but like if you're a lover of just animation, just pay the money. Like you'll get all your money's worth there. I didn't know this until I looked at the IMDb cast. I didn't notice that the 2 different Spider-Mans were played by 2 different actors. For some reason, I thought it was one guy. I wasn't paying attention to voice, really.
No. Yeah, the OG Spider-Man.
It's Chris Pine.
Yes, yeah,
it's crazy.
I didn't know it was Chris Pine.
Right, I don't know his voice.
You could tell it was different because he only has all right, this is where the spoiler comes into play. He only has like 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, that's why I didn't care too much about his voice, like who was doing it. I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then Jake Johnson, he plays Spider-Man for the rest of the movie. You guys all know him if you see the show New Girl. He's that he plays. Oh my God, he plays Nick. He plays Nick on New Girl. So he was,
He also kind of looks like him too.
Yeah, I could see that. So okay, I don't know how you felt, but I always get confused when I watch movies in order, like what order is, especially like hours and hours later. So you're better at that than I am. But I don't know exactly when is Miles gets introduced pretty early on, right? Like right after we get introduced to Spider-Man, where he's like, "Oh, I'm Peter Parker," right? Yeah. It's like right after.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is gonna sound weird, but you know how I get when I watch certain movies. I get a little emotional and stuff, and depending on what I'm watching, I might even cry or whatever. But I get really invested, right? So it is so weird, and I think it has to do a lot with Stan Lee's passing more than anything.
No, if we're talking about that scene, that.
But but here's the thing: I started before he was shown.
Oh, okay.
So the thing was, for those again, if you're listening to this episode, spoilers, so we're going in. There's a moment where the Collider. I kept thinking about Collider Video. I'm not even joking. Every time they said it, I was like, I was like, is there gonna be like a cameo from somebody from Collider Video? But the whole Collider thing happens, and the explosion and the Spider-Verse happens, and you're just, that beautiful scene of all the colors and stuff, and like what is to be expected for the rest of the film. Right. We get introduced to Kingpin, who I think every time I saw him on screen took me out.
Oh, please, you're not the only one. This is really funny because a couple of my friends, every time they saw him, like, I love what they did with Kingpin. So if you're not going to go see the movie, or if you saw the movie, you know this. He looks like the fucking Roblox character.
Yeah.
Straight out of the fucking Kanye West I Love It video.
Probably
like, that's what he looks like, and I was dying.
So when they first showed Kingpin, now that we're going to be on Kingpin, when they first showed him, I was like, okay, they're going to make a joke about this, and then he's going to look normal. Maybe it was like an angle thing, and they're going to joke about that. Because it seems like this movie's very meta already, like early on. The movie's already cracking jokes about Spider-Man in real life, and so maybe we're gonna be like, huh, you see what we did there, And then they just keep showing him, and he's just a ball on a giant thumb or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, this is weird. And so for the whole movie, every time they showed him, I was like, oh, okay. No one thought about changing this? Okay, whatever. But anyway, so he takes Spider-Man.
I thought it was cool.
No, yeah, fine. No, to each his own.
It's a very, very different interpretation, especially for this movie. It's very, very interesting.
Well, because it's like, because it's like the Green Goblin. Like, he's a massive, like, pterodactyl-like creature, and that's not something you see all the time. So, that was cool, too, but, like, I wasn't as taken aback from the Green Goblin as much as Kingpin, I guess, because, I knew Kingpin was going to be in most of the movie. But anyway, so he and I think what helped, because he looked like that, he was able to have, like, superhuman strength. So he kills Peter Parker. And, like, okay, subconsciously, knowing the timing of all this, the killing of Peter Parker was like the death of Stan Lee for me. It was fucking weird. Because, like, the moment he kills Peter Parker, I start getting emotional. And I'm like, why? He's literally nobody right now. Like, he's Peter Parker. Like, granted, I've had a child of him, but, like, it's early in the movie. I know there's another one coming. It's a multiverse movie, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no. And then they do the whole, like, the news scenes and all that. I'm like, oh, no. And I start tearing up. And then you see Stan. And I'm just like, oh, my God.
That was really... That scene specifically was really emotional for me.
And what's funny... And what's funny about it is that, hold on, I don't even know if I'm being recorded right now. Oh, yes, I am. Okay. Sorry, I had a little weird hiccup there. The other thing is, I don't know I didn't hear what you said, so I don't know if you said it yet, but the idea that he goes, the suit always fits.
Yeah.
Which is
that's
just so
touching. That's something Stanley would say in real life, though. Like,
yeah.
Honestly.
Like, he'll say that about it, like, probably like, the comic, there's a comic book for everybody out there, like, he'll say, he probably had said something like that, but, obviously in the movie, it's about no refunds, but a smart person knows exactly what that meant, and, oh, man, and then, like, once I saw him, I just, I kept crying, and I was just like, all right, this is it, I'm invested.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's funny because it's, like, my whole theater, I don't know about your theater, but my whole theater was... Like, when they showed him doing the cameo, everyone fell silent. Right? Everyone was like, oh, damn. And then it always fits eventually. And then it pans to the no returns, and everyone was dying. Like, everyone just felt uplifted after that. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. There wasn't too many people in my theater, but there were people that were excited for moments like that. I can't remember that one specifically, but there was something really... I found it. I can't remember what it was, but there was something that happened in the movie that was pretty funny, and like for some reason, it was the most audible laugh in the movie for the fans, and I don't remember what it was, but now I want to, because like I didn't understand it at the time, because clearly I don't remember it, so clearly it wasn't that memorable to me.
Your head.
Yeah, so like, I don't know.
There's so much stuff to digest about the movie too. Like the whole introducing Miles' character, introducing Miles picking up the mantle of Spider-Man to me is such an iconic scene too. Just for his ultimate if you're a fan of the movie and you want to read Miles' story, read his Ultimate Spider-Man books. Purchase them; they're really good.
I don't know too much about Miles.
Right. I remember that when they first killed off Peter in the Ultimate Verse, back when I was in high school, back when you were in high school, right? I was fucking more than 8 years ago. Everyone was mad, how could you kill Peter Parker?
I remember that.
Yeah, and then when we got Miles, everyone fell in love with him. Everyone, he's great. And so when I originally read that and then I saw it on the big screen, it was like, wow, we've really come a long way, because having an inclusive Spider-Man means a lot. There was a bunch of Spanish people in my theater, and every time he was speaking Spanish to his mom, or growing up in an urban neighborhood, he was playing hip hop, and he had a chance to rap her freaking poster,
Yeah.
and he was playing Biggie. You know, it was like a lot of things that made me personally happy.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
totally. Because like
being
someone
as
like myself, like I'm Puerto Rican, knowing that like his mom would randomly talk to him in Spanish, like, and I just wonder like, does anybody know what this means in the theater? Like,
Mhm.
but I do. So yeah, those are great moments. And the kids going, "Hey, we miss you because you're at that quote unquote like
pretend,
white school."
yeah, yeah,
And like even him knowing that like I don't want to be here and I only got here because I won some lottery, and his dad,
right, and
yeah,
yeah, and that speaks to a lot of kids, especially like coming living in New York. You know, you have all the charter schools that a lot of you know, not affluent families are
right.
always trying to get into, always doing the lottery. So like that that right there really struck home personally
Yeah,
for
trying to
me.
better your kid, whether the kid wants it or not. You know, it's better for them in the long run, and the kid has to probably eventually realize that that was the right choice or not. You know, yeah, and it's clear. Clear here. And then the whole "I love you" scene is great. You know, we saw it in the trailer.
Oh yeah,
But his dad, like even my mom mentioned to me, she goes, "That's the movie that has the 'I love you' thing, right?" I was like, "Yeah."
yeah,
And like even that's like cute and stuff. Like I'm sure we've all probably maybe not, but like, gone through that with our parents or something. Like you get dropped off at school and you're like, all right, I'm gonna leave. I don't want to be seen with you, or that there's that old adage of that. So that's cute. The idea
yeah.
that the way that they we're gonna jump all over the place, so don't mind me. The
Mm.
way that they introduce the Prowler, the idea of that, I mean, fans that know that that's his uncle.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know that going in, they waited a bit to let you know. Like,
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. I like how they did that.
yeah, like they didn't write it like you might have gotten hints. Maybe if you're like really paying attention, you might realize, okay, maybe that is his uncle.
Hmm.
But it didn't. They it took us a while to find for him to find out. And I like that simmering of let it do it on its own.
Hmm.
Let it figure it out. And like, because his father has his own hatred or dislike for Spider-Man because he's a
Yeah.
vigilante in a world of law and order.
Yeah.
And Miles likes his uncle because it's his uncle and he's cool unlike his father.
Yeah.
And the Prowler is the Prowler because he's always been that way. He's always been a guy that's on the other side of the law. So why not join an evil organization, right? So like
Yeah.
that whole idea of all of it coming together, it was very natural in
Oh,
this film. Of
it
them
was
figuring it out.
it's a beautiful like if you want to break this down, like the whole good and evil morality aspect, right? Like you have his dad, law, order, justice. You have his uncle, anti all of that stuff, like anarchy, uh, villainry, stealing for stuff. And then you have Miles in the middle, like just the black and white. And then like just them talking to him. He's like, look, you're both of them saying you're better than the both of us. You can
Mm-hmm.
be better than the both of us. You can see both sides clearly without having some sort of like uh misjudgment on both. So you and that's like when he finally clicked that in his head, then he could be Spider-Man.
There's one little thing that's been sitting with me, and it's meaningless probably, but I felt like it means a lot to me. The idea that though his uncle is from a different, in a sense, different world or the opposite side of the law, anytime that Miles would mention school to him, he did not once go, "Fuck it, who cares? It's school."
Yeah. Yeah.
He seemed to be interested and wanted his nephew to go and progress himself with education. Um,
Yeah.
so I like that. Like I don't know if the movie people made that intentionally a point, but
I
it's
think that I think that's just like the Prowler in the Ultimate Universe anyway with Miles
hmm
like being Miles's uncle. Like he
hmm
always like I think that's just his character because
right. Okay.
so I could be wrong. People could flame me for it, but I think that's just fundamentally like that's who he is
Yeah,
because
no question about it. Right.
yeah. But if it isn't, that's powerful. Like,
Yeah, I was expecting because he was like, "Oh, I have an essay due tonight." I was expecting the next line from his uncle to be like, "And to hang out with me. Who cares?" But he stayed quiet and he let him go. Like though meaningless probably to most people. For me, that was nice. So yeah, he goes to school. He's meeting, so his dad drops him off, and this whole like embarrassment ensues. I like the again little moments of like, hey, your shoe's untied. No, it's a style choice. That's just the way I do it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then clearly throughout the whole movie, stays untied. That's just literally what he does. And then him bumping, of course, into a certain young woman that
uh,
we meet. Um,
second best girl.
Second best, right? Because there is the OGs. But
Uh,
we don't quite. Again, if you're not a fan, you don't quite know who this girl is yet. You're just like, oh, it's just a girl named. What did they wind up? What does he call her in the beginning?
Gwendolyn,
Gwen,
Gwendolyn,
Gwanda too.
some
And
Gwanda,
then
yeah,
Gwanda.
something like that.
I
Something.
was like,
I'm sitting here like, wow, I like as a fan, I'm like, really? That's what you're gonna?
see, I,
Okay.
I thought they were pulling. Yeah, I thought they were pulling like a. Really, you changed her name here, but it was just as a joke.
Yeah.
Or like an MJ thing in Homecoming. Like, whoa, who's? That's not
Yeah.
what. That idea, and then again, didn't know. See, they explain it later, but I thought she was the one from that universe. But clearly,
Yes.
they
Yes.
they do an interesting what is the bait and switch of like, no, she's actually someone that's had just gotten there that day or that the night
Yes.
before, and she blended
Yeah.
in nicely with those kids. People were talking about this online. It made me laugh. It was like, how'd she get the outfit for the uniform for the school? I was like, yeah, good point, actually. How did
I
she
mean,
get that? But
you
hey,
could just, yeah. It's hard because, that version of Gwen is, Gwen has always been smart. So,
no, a
you know,
part of me was thinking, I had sat down and thought about this. She either did a couple of things. Either the Gwen from that universe got sucked into, so she's somewhere else. She
I think
killed
she's
the
dead.
other Gwen.
No, I think she's been dead.
Or that, she's just been dead and no one ever knew about her prior to that. She went to the house, took the clothes, and went to school. Like and again,
No, because she
no.
was a new transfer.
Oh, right. Okay. No, but again, whole scheme not as important. Usually I get mad
Yeah,
at those things.
that's just Deus Ex Machina stuff that you could.
Right. Usually I get mad at those things, but it didn't serve a higher purpose in the movie. Like if it served a major purpose, like if it was like how'd she even get there and we had no explanation, then I would be like, yeah, wait, what? But we have an explanation. She was part of the whole rift and it was, it's fine. Um
Yeah, just
Maybe she was already wearing the clothes. I don't know. I don't care. Like who knows? But anyway, that was cool finding that out about her and then the little love interest there. Um I don't know.
that was
I
cute.
Yeah, that was cute. And then, I'm trying to think of like points here. There's the idea of, so Peter's already dead, and then, oh yeah, so he goes to visit the grave site.
Oh yeah, because so what I like about this movie, right? So when Miles finally becomes like gets his spider powers, and then when he witnesses Peter's death,
Mm.
right? He's like, okay, I have to be Spider-Man now. Goes out, buys a costume. Goes out, buys all the comics starting from issue 1. And the movie does a great job right in the beginning of explaining how how the world knows he's Peter Parker due to the events probably of the Civil War comic book, if you guys know what that is.
Mm.
Not the movie. But and then how he has like a bunch of songs. He's made comic books of him. There's like a bunch of advertising. So Miles buys issue 1 and starts, wait a minute, oh shit, like this, and starts piecing it together on how to become Spider-Man because Peter's dead. He can't like mentor him
Yeah.
like he's supposed to.
Well, actually, I don't think people knew who Peter was because I think when he passed away, you remember when the father was watching the news, it said that a young man named Peter Parker assumed the role as Spider-Man. So I think that's when everybody had just found out.
Yeah,
I,
but
I don't think the events of Civil War, the comic, had occurred in that world. But I
okay,
could be wrong.
but
Like I might have. I don't know. But yeah.
but the thing is, like in the comic books, he was already being called that. Like in the comic books in the world,
Mm,
like it showed like classic like original Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, like #1 issue
right.
style. So I don't know if
Yeah, that was a bit
it could be.
confusing for me. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, so in our real human like world that we're talking out of right our mouths right now, Spider-Man was created in the '60s, but in this world, it's taking place in the '90s. So like, why do the comics look that whatever? It was. I don't think
Yeah.
it's meant to be super analyzed, but I was a bit like, well, yeah. So is he taking? Like at first, I was like, wait, so he's a guy that's pretending to be this comic book character? That's what I first thought. But I'm like, why are you thinking that way, you idiot? It's
Mhm.
just it's meant to be meta. It's meant to be.
Yeah, it's meant to be very
It's
meta.
just like in Logan when he's in there in the hotel room or something,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, those comic books that they made about us, it's all made up,
Hmm.
or he said something like that. Logan says to the kid, but yeah, um, so yeah, I totally forget how like he got the powers. I totally skipped over that. Um, the spider that's kind of like been engineered to give him those powers by the Alchemex. What's the name of the company?
I forgot.
I think it's
Um,
Alchemex.
yeah, something like that.
So it was like it
I
seems to
mean,
be a
it's originally Oscorp, but
right. Wonder why they didn't go for that.
yeah, I have no idea. Sony has those rights.
Yeah,
It's
it's
weird,
weird. Yeah.
but again, it just might be because again, Miles is from the Ultimate Universe, so things are a little bit different than regular Earth 616.
Yeah,
I
and
mean
again,
six.
this is not us going, "Oh, they didn't use Oscorp." Rah! Like
Yeah,
we
no, it's
don't
just.
care. It's
Mhm.
just like, why didn't you? You could have easily done it. But
Yeah,
whatever.
it's not. Yeah,
Um
it's more like, oh, okay.
were you blown away that it was a female Doc Ock? That was pretty
No,
cool.
that was cool. I wasn't when they found that out, right? So when you have Peter B. Parker, the
Yeah.
Jewish version of Peter Parker,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, that was funny. I like that. Like it was like, what's your name again? It's like Octavius. I was like, oh, your friends call you Doc Ock? Like no, that was cool. That was really cool. Like that was interesting. I like
Yeah,
that
I
twist.
had no idea she would have been there, or any version of a Doc Ock would have been there.
Yeah,
I thought
it
she was
was
just a nurse or a doctor or something. I don't know. I thought she
yeah,
was
and
just there.
yeah, and the way they teased her too is when Miles goes into class and she's explaining multiverse theory, and
Yep.
you don't think anything of it. You just think, oh, this is some background NPC character that
Right.
just not gets like 5 minutes of screen time, and then bam, major villain. Oh snap!
I kind of dug the style of her tentacles, like the idea that it wasn't metal and it was fluid and it was like tubing.
Yeah,
That was it was like it reminded me of like my vacuum. Um, but I liked
okay.
it. Yeah, I liked it. It was able to. You get the idea that it's able to stretch further than anything, which is it gives you that illusion in the movie that it's extremely more fluid than a piece of metal, and more
Right.
believable. Um, yeah, that was cool. And again, something little, but yet something that had an effect on me. Um, yeah, and I liked the use of because like in old movies, we got to get the password,
Mhm.
and it was like, oh, how do you hack into the mainframe? And even they're like, we're not hacking. Like he even says it. We're not hacking. We're just putting in a password or whatever. And the way of him getting the password was shown to us. It was cool. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was actually taken seriously. Like I felt like it would have been like this movie's weird because there's moments where it's like stupid serious, and then there's moments where it's like, haha, we're a cartoon movie. But like
Yeah,
you would
it's
think the
more like, haha, it's
password,
Spider Man.
yeah, you would think the password scene where they're quote unquote hacking would be the jokey part, but like they took that seriously. Someone
Yeah.
actually sat down and was like, we're gonna show a mirror, and he's gonna look at it, and he's gonna read it backwards, and that's how he's gonna get the password. And I'm like, Okay, that's awesome. I prefer that. Like, show me how you actually get in. Um,
Yeah. And what I love what they did is that specifically for that scene is it's super serious. Going in, getting the password, typing the password in, and then when he couldn't download everything or he forgot like
mhm.
what to do, he was like, Miles was like, "Fuck it." Then just takes the CPU and the monitor, and then it
Yeah.
ensues this hilarious like chase scene. Like they reminded me of Spider-Man 2, the video game,
And
where like
teaching us, oh, yeah, and teaching us the idea, like, well, it had just happened previously, but while in the hallway, like, he can go invisible.
yeah.
And he only does it because he's scared. It's a fight or flight thing.
Hmm.
But, and then, of course, later at the movie, we realize that he hones in on his full powers and potential.
Hmm.
But, like, I didn't know Miles goes invisible. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, that's what separates him from Peter. Him and
He's
his static shock ability, spider strike. That's what they call it, I think.
like, I had no idea.
Yeah,
um,
it's
and like
cool.
I might have like a couple of Miles books here. Never read them. I just have them. Yeah, like I don't know. I had no idea. But that was new to me. That was like, oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, it does keep him separate from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
More, he has a easier sell there because he's a little bit more powerful in that sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was cool. And so then him learning how to swing a web was fun to watch. And then of
Yeah.
course we meet Spider
Spider Gwen,
Spider Gwen, Spider Woman.
or in yeah, well, yeah, it's yeah, Spider Woman, Spider Gwen,
Yeah.
but or in her new comic book series, Ghost Spider. Ugh, terrible. Hate that name,
Is
but
that the
whatever.
name?
Yeah, they did this is a little backtracking, but they did a thing where Gwen gets her identity revealed to everybody. So Spider Gwen is dead. Now lives Ghost Spider, and it's
Ooh,
dumb.
I'm looking that up.
It's dumb. I don't like what they did there, but it's whatever. Um, I will. So you keep going because I have some notes to
Ooh,
talk.
well, say your
Yeah.
notes. Um, they bump into her, and that's how. And then every time they introduce a new character, they go into their backstory, and this is where we find out that she's the girl from the school, and the whole haircut thing. That was cute. Um, so we move on from there, and I think that's when we go to Aunt May's house, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. They all meet up and go to Aunt May's house. So before diving into that,
Yeah, yeah.
I want to say this movie did a really good job with Gwen's story, like her actual like story and her origin story, because I don't know if you know, and I don't know if our fans know, Marvel has this like TV short series on YouTube called Marvel Heroes, I believe,
Right.
and it follows Gwen. So if you like her character in the movie, you could watch that. But they do it a little bit differently, and I don't like what they did to her origin in that series, and particularly. Um, so like in that series, they don't state it's Peter Parker. They state it's some other kid who was an Inhuman who, due to various events from the comic books, gets unleashes his powers and then gets shot somewhere by somebody. But I was like, oh, that's not at all what the original author wrote for her, and it's not like she's an old character. She's relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
So why change her origin up like that? Um,
Strange.
yeah. So when they said, "Oh, I lost my best friend, Peter Parker, couldn't save him," just like how Peter couldn't save Gwen in our normal iteration, I was like, "Yes, thank you, Sony." I
Yeah,
because it's more
that was
yeah,
nice.
yeah, because it's more impactful if Gwen lost Peter, because then you see like, okay, there's a bunch of because especially in the Spider-Verse comic book storyline, it like she breaks down kind of when she sees Peter, like our Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, oh shit, and then Peter does the same thing. So it's kind of like it means more than having some random dude that's just a random Inhuman. Like it's just, ugh, you know.
I don't
Personally,
know.
I don't like it. People could like, I don't know, but
I don't. Excuse me. Well, I don't know who's involved in making this movie. Like, I didn't look into directors or writers, but I feel like the people that made this movie actually genuinely cared, putting it out and figuring out like, hey, if we're gonna actually make this movie, let's put balls to the wall and be and take the content seriously, take the history extremely seriously, and then go from there with making our jokes and poking fun at it. But let's take the material we have at first at hand seriously, and I respect that. Like you should always do. Not okay, maybe not always, but you should always try to do that as closely as possible, because people made these characters a certain way, and maybe that's if you're going to tell a story like this, then you keep it that way. Of course, if you're trying to do it for a different audience, yeah, change whatever the hell you want. But this is a story about different universes and different iterations. So if you're going to introduce a quote unquote OG or Planet One or a style base, then you tell the original stories there, and then you pick from there and change it up, which is what they do in some of the characters' cases. But yeah, always put that original idea in there, especially if you're gonna do something like this. So yeah, props to the people that made this movie. So yeah, they meet Gwen. They go to Aunt May's house, and
that was so cool.
Is she? I've never heard of an occurrence of Aunt May being like this in the comics. Is she? Has she ever done this?
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think she was heavily involved at all. I like what they did that.
I always take her as an old innocent woman that just never took part in Peter's excursions or anything like that. So I didn't take her as a gatekeeper or like an Alfred. I never saw her like that. But hey, it's just cool. I like it.
I like what they did there.
And that's seeing all the really cool different Spider-Man outfits and the spider copter, all these like really cool, fun.
Yeah, that was a beautiful callback to the buggy, to the copter, to the bike, having all of the suits there in the back like Batman. Oh man, that was. Oof, they had like the Spider-Man suit from the video game. They had the Doc Ock, the Doc Ock like green suit that he makes. A bunch of stuff, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see that. Like as a fan, I was like fangasming. Yeah, I was like, oh,
that was cool. That was great, and the seeing, that one with the cape would be cool though. That would be cool.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
You know what I'm surprised we didn't see in this movie, and I guess
what
I'm not.
Who
I mean, I'm not
what?
Who? Being that we took Spider-Mans from different places, I'm surprised we didn't see the 2099 Spider-Man. Isn't it like that Mexican? Isn't he like Spanish too?
Wait, you didn't stay for the end credits?
Oh my God, no!
Oh, okay. So we could talk about that.
Oh,
we could talk about that.
Are you serious? Is he going to be in the next one? Because they did, the spoilers. There's a second one coming.
I'm not going to say until the end credits. Oh, that's my favorite end credits of 20.
Because I was.
That's my favorite end credits of 2018.
I had to run some errands, so I was like, I'm not going to wait. I doubt there's going to be any end credit. But wow, I'm sure someone's put it on the internet, so I'll probably watch it after this recording.
Yeah. Do you want me to spoil it for you after this recording, or say what it is?
You can spoil it now. Like I don't care. Like I mean, it's.
Okay.
You know me. I don't care about spoilers too much.
Okay. So to interject Peter's thing again, massive spoilers for anybody who cares.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, at the end of the credit scene, we get a little like comic book-esque like Nueva York 2099.
Oh.
It pops up, and then all you hear is a woman's voice saying, "You ready, Miguel?" And he goes like, "Yeah, all right." And then we see him come in, and then she puts the time dilator, which, if you are a fan of the comic books, knows that Miguel travels back and forward through time. And she goes to him, "So where are we going?" He goes, "To the very beginning." and it's like 1969, and he jumps into the world,
Oh,
and you know the meme where it goes two Spider-Mans pointing at each other?
I think so.
Yeah, and it's literally just them two. It's like, hey, you, wait a minute, you, wait, why are you pointing at me? Stop pointing at me. No, you're pointing at me. And it's like two cops, like back to the original like cartoon, and he goes, why are there two Spider-Man? Well, yeah, didn't that guy just come out of nowhere? No, man, oh, like, just let him be. They're just, and it's like, stop pointing at me, blah 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 blah, and it just fades to black.
Oh
That
my
was
god.
fucking
See,
hilarious.
because like I was very surprised. I was like, why didn't you have him in this movie? It would be perfect for him to be here.
Yeah, no, him, Scarlet Spider. I was surprised not in the movie.
Yeah,
Um, those him, Scarlet Spider, the top two. They had Spider-Man Noir in the movie, so
that was I like that.
yeah.
Nicolas Cage.
Who's played by Nick Cage. I'm happy he's getting work because he deserves work. That
First of all,
man is.
he's Superman in the Teen Titans Go movie. He's
Yes, yes.
he has that I haven't seen it yet, but that amazing like I think it's called Molly, that horror film that came out a couple months ago. Like
Really?
the guy's always working, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm surprised Miguel like that. That's cool. I gotta see this. Actually, I just looked it up. It seems like there's a couple of videos on YouTube here that seem to
Yeah,
be geared towards that. So I'm gonna definitely watch that. Oh,
I definitely watched
I
that.
always that's probably the greatest Spider-Man outfit ever, in my opinion.
One of
Um,
them, sure.
oh yeah, probably not the number one, but like for sure up there. And I just like I bought random 2099s as a kid, not knowing what or who I was reading. I was just buying them because it looked so cool.
Mhm.
Um, and they're some
Yeah,
of my favorite covers just because of the outfit. But that's
so-
good to
yeah.
know
Yeah,
that.
he's definitely one of the fan favorite Spider-Mans, like of all time. You know, you have obviously regular Peter, you have Venom, Black Suit Spider-Man Peter, you have Scarlet Spider, both of them,
Hmm.
just because there's two. Uh, Miguel and Spider 2099, Spider-Man Noir, even though he has like one book, it's crazy how people love him so much. Um, and now we have Spider Gwen and a bunch of other people.
Hmm.
But it's really cool. It's really cool that they put him in there at the final thing. Like,
So, this movie, it's if you take it back and not really take all the colors out and like just watch it, or imagine it as on paper, just written out. It does run it does run your typical like the world's gonna end, how are we gonna save it idea. But they do it in a way that doesn't make me think of that the whole time.
yeah,
I don't. I'm not constantly going, oh wait, the collider, they gotta save, like or like, oh, this means nothing because at the end the heroes are gonna win. There were moments where I was just either not thinking of that at all, or just like, oh, maybe something could badly happen, because there isn't really a universe built around this movie, so it's like consequences could be real.
yeah,
Because usually in a universe they don't, until you hit a movie like Infinity War, which has never ever happened, you don't really get too many consequences because you have to get to that point.
yeah.
So like this movie, I was like, oh wait, maybe stakes are high because there's no fucks given, literally.
Yeah, I will say that there were times like at the end of the day, we're so engrossed in our culture today that we know the good guys are going to win. But I there were a few times where in this movie I thought, oh shit, that Peter, Jewish Peter, I'm going to call him Jewish Peter,
Mm,
Jewish Peter was going to stay behind and let everybody else go. Um,
right.
and because Miles couldn't figure it out, or if he does figure it out, it'll be too late for that, you know.
Hmm.
So there was a bit of moments, and even at the end, they kind of like took that away from you, and it was like, oh shit, he might stay, just because certain circumstances happening. Like I
Right.
think Kingpin came in, or the Doc Ock came in and stopped them from fighting, so it was cool. I was a little cool. I like that.
Hmm. I I think when Peter was saying that he didn't want to, that he didn't mind sacrificing himself and staying, I I actually believed him. Like I thought, yeah, he would do that. Okay,
Yeah.
and either let it run its course, and then we'll see him in the second movie die or something. I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
believed it for a moment. Um, so I don't know.
And it also attests to his character of always running away, not facing his fears too, because that was his whole character flaw,
Correct.
is
And then
that
yeah,
he kept running.
and
He
then
didn't want to do anything.
clearly this one has gone large and no care in the world about anything after his divorce
Mm.
with MJ. So yeah, they play on that. They play on that pretty well there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of like other events in the movie because again I'm really bad at like sequencing, so I'm trying to figure out
Uh,
like things. I guess we get introduced to the pig,
oh yeah,
Peter
Spider Pig,
Porker,
Porky,
and
Porker, Peter,
Peter Porker, I think it is.
Peter Porker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, well, we could just talk about the characters right now. So you get, you have Spider Pig,
yeah.
which is a very like WB esque Spider Man.
And they even
You
play on
know,
that, like, is he even allowed to say that? Because he goes, "That's all, folks," or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, I love how meta the movie is.
No,
That's
it's
that's
great.
so good, so good. Then you have Penny, who's adorable.
I know
I love her.
nothing about her. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, she shows up in the Spider Verse comic books for like a one shot scene of her origin.
But she's
As
not like a thing Marvel did in Japan, is she? Like, because I know like
no,
DC has. There's. Have you ever seen the Batman Japanese comics? They're like real.
no.
Like he fights like Mothman or something, whatever. Like
Oh my God,
yeah, like it's
that's that.
they're those are real though. So like,
Yeah,
but she's not
that's
a
crazy.
thing in Japan, is she?
No, they didn't make her to be like that. I mean, the only Spider-Man Japan is the Japanese Spider-Man. If you haven't seen that or seen memes of that, please.
Oh my
Those are
god, I
hilarious.
have yet. Oh, hit my mic. I've yet to do
Um,
that. I'm gonna as you
yeah,
talk, I'm gonna
just
look
look
it
up.
up.
You could look it up right now, as I.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just like a small. Like, there's no like actual books of her. Like Spider-Man Noir has a book of him, right? Same thing with Peter Porker. I don't think he has a book of him. I might be wrong though. I think he might. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't at this time. I mean, I think maybe that's the reason why they put her in this movie, to get all the, anime fans and the weebs all happy and like, yeah, we got Diva in the flesh, but it's
True.
Spider
It's
Man.
also a
So
Japanese film in a sense because you got Sony behind it. So
true, true. So to push that, I would love to see more of her because in the movie she's fucking adorable. It's really funny.
yeah, no,
Uh,
she seemed like a cool character. Like that's why I thought it was real, like a real IP or something.
I mean, she could have gotten like maybe a one shot, but I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think so. I'm not. Again, don't quote me, but I think she's only shown up in like a few pages of into the Spider Verse comic book line as a main story point, as she's trying to survive and meet up with other Spider Men. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's the only time I've seen her personally. So. Yeah, Spider-Man Noir, obviously. Black and white Spider-Man, Detective Spider-Man, essentially Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, his whole thing with the Rubik's cube is hilarious and great at the same time.
Yeah, because he only
Love that.
sees black and white, so
Yeah.
that's pretty funny. I'm
Um.
Zoe
Oh yeah.
Kravitz played Mary Jane. Wow.
Who?
Zoe Kravitz.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
that's just
She
like
played. She played all the Mary Janes though, right?
it says Mary Jane voice. Yeah, it doesn't say. I don't. I
Yeah.
don't think. I know. I think they only showed Mary Jane twice, but she only spoke in one universe. So I.
Oh, maybe. Maybe you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or she just might have said Peter. And
Yeah. So they were like, why hire somebody else?
Jewish Peter. Yeah.
Oh, so the girl.
Uh,
Oh, the Asian girl from Orange Is the New Black. I say Asian
yeah.
girl, not trying to be racist. I'm just don't know what her background is. Kimiko Glenn. Kimiko Glenn.
Yeah, she plays Penny, right?
She's wow. That's cool. I like her. I dig her in that series. I dig her
That's
in
awesome.
there.
I dig her in there.
Da,
Yeah.
what?
Um,
What? Wait, hold on a second. Oh,
But
that's why that voice was noticeable. I just realized who played Wilson Fisk. Liev Schreiber. He's
okay.
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go into the music of the movie because I
Yes,
think
that.
the music is
Yeah,
phenomenal.
I
Uh,
have yet to mention it only because, again, it's I say this all the time with a good score and a good. If I don't mention it, it worked. It's that idea. It just
like
beautifully. It gives you the feeling of New York, of where in some cases some of the music they used originated from. So it
mhm.
gives you that feel. It's music you and I hear on a daily basis,
Yeah,
either in our own personal lives or in the streets. Literally in the streets, you'll actually hear this music still being played. Modern and I mean contemporary and old school rap. Whatever they used.
yeah, it was beautiful.
And the
You
rock
start off
music.
with "Sunflower" by Post Malone and Sway Lee, which is been going around. It's probably a really popular song just to promote the movie. Um, and that
Wait,
was
is that the one he
phenomenal.
made for the movie?
Yeah. Innocent say I take a check. Dun, dun, dun,
So
dun,
that
dun.
is the one.
Nevertheless,
Yeah.
that one. That one's really good. Then you have like if you guys like listen to the actual soundtrack of the movie, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it on Spotify.
Like one of my favorite songs is um the the Lil Wayne XXX song, and it plays when Miles finally gets his pseudo cost like it's not his legitimate costume, but it's like his version of the costume where he spray paints everything's in black, and then he jumps off of the building and he's finally become Spider-Man. I
Mm.
think that's the best song in the album. Personally, it's just personal favorite because
What are you talking about?
I'm a sucker.
It's all about that Jaden Smith.
Oh, that one's pretty good too. That
Just
one that
kidding.
one's pretty good too.
No, it's not bad. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that was dope. The music and soundtrack where like if a movie has great visuals, decent storytelling, and an amazing soundtrack, guaranteed to be very good.
I will
You
say,
know,
you know me. I don't follow too much with the contemporary music of today. Sound like a fucking 65-year-old man, but I don't listen to today's young
Peter's
kids music.
old.
No, I don't. Like I don't like I'll hear it. Like don't like literally I know probably I knew most of these songs if not all of them going in, but like if you were to tell me what's the name of that song and I would never be able to tell you. I could also barely do that for most old songs anyway, so that's just a problem I have in general. Like
Mhm.
this is going to show my limits here. I do not know how to pronounce this guy's name, so don't mess with me. Thutmose, is that his name?
Thutmose?
Or Thootmouse? Like
Hold on.
he's the guy that or man or woman. I don't know if this is a man or woman. Memories is the name of the song for the movie.
Memory? Hold on. The only memories I
Thutmose.
know.
Like I don't know the song. I'm looking at names and I don't know any of these people's names. Well, most of these people's names.
Memories.
Oh, that's actually
Thutmose?
that's an Egyptian name, so it's probably pronounced a little differently. Um, yeah, but
Okay,
that's
I got one
that's
on Barbara Streisand. Okay,
right.
it's not who.
Memories and then space Thutmose. But anyway, those are like I don't know him or her. I don't know Juice World. I don't
Oh,
know
Juice WRLD's great. Juice WRLD's great.
Duckworth, Shabuzi. Like I don't know any of these people. But again, I probably heard the songs prior. Like I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
you
really
definitely heard a Juice WRLD song. Lucid Dreams. Have you
see.
ever
Look,
listened?
I don't know these things, man. I do know that.
If I play it for you, you probably have heard it.
Sure. No, yeah. But again, that goes to my like naivete or
Word? You're just making up words now?
no, that's a real word. What are you talking about? But no, it just shows me like I don't follow people today. Like the only names in all honesty that I know on here is let's see. Post Malone, Jaden Smith, Nicki Minaj,
Right? Lil Wayne.
um I think I know Jacquees. I think I've heard that.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Lil Wayne, of course, Ty Dolla Sign, Extension, whatever, XX Extension, whatever his name was.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's it. And like, yeah, Everyone else, go fuck yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow. Okay.
Just
Please,
kidding.
please, no, don't.
Just
Don't do
kidding.
that.
If you guys want to be on the show, hey.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now they want to be on the show, right? Yeah.
But no, that's just my lack of knowledge of that. But anyway, the music, yeah, works great in this movie. Whoever was in charge of picking that, I am very curious though, to be honest, being that Sony does have its own music label, and I'm curious of how many of these young fine people are signed on to a Sony record label, and and did that play a role in their use? Ah, all right.
I think it is. Yeah.
Think about that.
I could see that.
Because Sony doesn't just have Sony Music; they also have, I think they own Epic, and I think they own other bunch of other record labels, of course. And I'm curious as to if any of those, if every single one of the people here are a member of the Sony family. Because if they are, I'm not going to be surprised. It makes sense. Don't have to pay anybody, except for your singers. That's it, and there's no reason for extra royalty payments. So that's pretty smart on their end if they did it that way. Moving on.
I do it that way.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So we're about at the hour mark here. So I don't know if you guys are still listening. Better be fucking listening. Not sure if this might be a part 2. Might not be. I don't know how we're gonna split this up. But I just wanted to warn people there in the event you didn't know. So move on from there. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into that big epic battle scene at the end?
No, I mean I feel like we covered a lot of the stuff. Personally, we just went over music, my nerdiness with the comic stuff. So yeah, we could just go straight for the scene. Miles finally one thing. Okay, so before he leaves and gets his powers under wrap, Miles has that really really like sad and nice scene with his dad. Where
someone talk about that. You're right.
Where like he's tied up, he can't talk, and it's just dad. After like finding out that his uncle got shot, after that traumatic death scene, which is kudos to you whoever wrote that because that was beautiful. And that was just really really somber and sad, and how like his dad wanted a response, and how like they kind of drifted apart a little bit due to like Miles not wanting to be at the school technically, or this, that, and the other thing. He's just being hard on him, and he thought, okay, my son is drifting apart because I've been a kind of like a dick, which I feel like a lot of families have gone through that a little bit.
Yeah, he was being the stern, foot down type of dad that maybe Miles needed, and I don't know that for sure, but yeah, he was being your typical, New York City dad cop guy. I don't know. Like I'm sure, like he played that, that
minority
I need to
father.
I need to be the strong guy here. And the mom played the kind of the same, but
like
also
a good cop essentially.
Yeah, and the thing that got me was when he found out the part I didn't quite soak in was when he found out his brother was dead, but he'd made no instance of realizing who he was.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just, he noticed him right away as his brother, and not so much like, whoa, what is he wearing?
Oh yeah, he noticed him as his brother instead of the Prowler, right?
Again,
is that what you're trying?
Yeah, so again, minor thing. But a part of me was just like, did he know prior to this that this was what he was doing? Because he does mention early in the movie he got into the wrong crowd or something like that. But is that because he was just always doing illegal things, or was it like he knew he was the Prowler, or did he just in that moment it didn't matter? It was his brother. And I want to go with the second part. I feel like it didn't matter what he had on. He could have been naked for all it mattered. At the end of the day, it was still my brother, and he's dead. And I
would like to believe that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't. Again, we can dive deep and be like, well, Sony fucked up, and they should have mentioned like, well, what is this, But again, not that big of a deal. But I like to think, it was because he saw his dead brother, and then he blamed Spider-Man. Like, I want all units on a Spider-Man, and that's where it becomes very dangerous for Miles at this point, because Miles doesn't know this is happening. And then he obviously, like, get back to what you were saying, he's back at the dorm and he's with his dad. That was, yeah, like you said, it's touching. We've probably all been there with a parent, not all of us. I know most of us have, at least us, where, we don't see eye to eye with our parentals, and things happen, whether it's our fault, their fault, or both of our faults. But the touching part was the web on his mouth, being able to not have to speak because he had no choice. He couldn't say anything to his father. He couldn't open the door, even if he wanted to open the door or even wanted to say something. So that was emotional and impactful on a level that only people that have had an experience or an issue like that could probably understand at that level. You put anybody in that situation, your girlfriend, boyfriend, parent, whatever, of that idea of just, hey, let me speak, and then I'll let you talk. But in this case, it was like, well, I have no idea, you can't talk, but I'm just going to speak, and hear me out, please. I beg you to hear me out. That was beautiful. And then, and then later, of course, his dad realizes that Spider-Man saves the day. Yeah. It kind of gets a hint that, oh, maybe this is my son, but I don't know, because this is weird, like the whole hug thing.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I love you. Okay.
And then he gives him that awkward hug. So, like, maybe a glimpse of, like, oh, this is too familiar. But he obviously it never comes out that thinks that's his son. But it's a funny thing. I told my coworkers, like, hey, if you guys are going to go see this movie, smoke weed.
Oh.
Because
honestly, I thought about that. I thought it'd be
especially that ending, like that half hour or 20-minute of just explosions and colors and psychedelic nonsense. I was like, oh my god, if I was high, geez, this would be insane. Because who ever came up with, like, I do not want to be the person that had to put that together. That's nuts. Which is why I don't get paid any money from any of those companies, because I don't want to do it. But, like, oh man, that was beautiful. Like, it could have been anything. It could have been just cats fighting. Like, I don't care. Just the way it was put together was so amazing. And then, of course, you add a story behind it of why it's happening, and then it's like, oh, cool, I'm even more invested. No, it was pretty epic, because it could have been easily just lights, green lights, yellow lights, boom, explosion. Here we go. That's it. And like if this was not animated, it would have looked like that. It would have been like a blue laser beam, But because you can get away with so many colors and buildings popping out and, like, fucking trippy. I don't know, I liked it.
It's super dope. Like, also, like, the whole, like, other worlds coming together and crashing into one another, and everyone saying goodbye, but also, like, the lights dimming down, and just, like, all the trippy animations and colors of the final fight scene, and it's crazy. It's great. If you were under the influence, you would be tripping out. Like, I think we discussed this back in the Doctor Strange stuff. We also talked about that. If you were high watching that movie, you would be tripping out. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but you would be. I'm just throwing that out there. So go see it at your own risk or reward.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that in the Doctor Strange thing. But yeah, no, totally. If you're gonna go in here balls to the wall baked, then that's on you, because this whole movie, start to end, is like a color trip, and then even more so at the end. So, good luck, I guess.
Good luck.
Yeah. But no, I like it. I like the resolution to it. I like the idea that the characters said, "Hey, we're in it for each other," and they weren't super selfish at all. They knew what needed to be done. Yes, they wanted to go back to their home worlds, but they wanted to make sure they could even get to that point. And then again, talking about Peter B. Parker, the idea that he would stay,
Yeah.
and risk it.
And they all wanted to. They all wanted to.
Yeah, they did.
Which is like, again, that's Spider-Man. You know, like
Yeah.
they all embody the like I'm not gonna say power, for lack of a better word, like the embodiment of Spider-Man. You know, the spirit of Spider-Man. That like it's really cool. Um,
I think also.
and
Well, yeah.
yeah, oh, no, no, go.
I was gonna say the idea that though this movie's only 2 hours or just under 2 hours, you made me feel that each character was necessary and had
Mhm.
a purpose. Oh, and not even just a purpose, but like I felt for them, and it wasn't just like, oh, there's a pig here, woohoo, you know. I felt like, okay, cool. Maybe he doesn't have a super major role, but um, he's not going to be wasted on me,
Mhm.
and that's in at the end of the day, that's great storytelling. If you're going to introduce a character, there's a reason for them and or a purpose. So yeah, they each served their role, and I by the end of the movie, when it was time to say goodbye, not that it was hard for me to go, no, I don't want. It wasn't that, but it was like, oh, I feel like there's a resolution here. There's a closure that I could
Mhm.
accept.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And I like the fact that they just didn't spend too much time on each individual character.
right.
Because like you spend too much time developing certain characters, then you lose others, I feel like. And they didn't clutter the screen with a bunch of Spider-Men, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so, you know, you could have put in like Peter when he had the black suit. You could put in 2099. You could have put in Ben, you know, Riley and all that stuff. You could put in like a ton of other people, right? But then at a point it just becomes too much. And
And possibly too much of
so
the same.
yeah,
These
exactly.
were all very different iterations of the idea.
Yeah,
You had literally a black and white, different color scheme. You had
different color
a
scheme.
completely different species of animal. You had a
Yeah.
pig, you know. So you had different iterations there. You had a
Um,
kid who was wearing a black suit, also happened to be black, but like he was wearing a black suit. You also have a female who was also wearing white. So like it's very all contrast. Uh, they all contrasted each other, and also at the same time. Um, oh my god, can't even think of the word. Forget what I was gonna say. Go on.
oh yeah, and I just like the camaraderie, you know, of the whole movie. You know, like when Miles is trying to figure out his powers, or when Miles' uncle died, he goes, "Oh, you guys wouldn't understand." And then Gwen goes,
Yeah.
"Miles, we were possibly the only people
Mm-hmm.
who would understand what you're going through."
Because yeah,
And I was,
yeah.
okay,
No, because they've all
yeah,
been through it. Yeah.
yeah, they just been through it. You know the story. Spider-Man's story is a tragic one. You know, like they all went through something. They all saw somebody die. Um, and it's just like at that point, there's also another thing with the movies, like you're not alone. You're
Mm-hmm.
never alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so uh, that's just like another message from it, and I thought that was really nice that they did that.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the second one. Clearly, this movie ends with a Gwen is trying to somehow she's coming back through the portal, um, and so I'm curious of how they'll. It's clear that that movie's not clear, but it's possible that it's going to be her and him,
Oh yeah,
and then
'cause they have a
very well
thing.
Miguel. Now that you're saying that with the end credit scene, so I'm very curious of how they'll do that movie, and if it's gonna be
I
another type of multiverse idea.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be my speculation as a comic book reader and a fan. Uh, I think it's what's gonna happen is something's gonna happen. Um, you know, somebody has a universal like destroyer of the universe type of thing, and they are going to have to jump from universe to universe to universe to stop said person. And we're going to get back all the characters from the first movie, add maybe one or two, and stop big bad person at the end of the thing.
That'd be really cool. I'll be into
That
that.
That's what I would do. That's how I would write it.
No idea when that's going to come out. I'm sure there's news on that the next couple of days because we live in the world where nobody can wait for things. So I'm sure they'll be talking about that very soon as to what
Instant gratification.
right? Because no, literally, I saw the movie today, and then hours later, I hear like, excuse me, the idea that the next movie is going to be Gwen and Peter. I mean, Gwen and Miles centric. So like,
Oh yeah, because they have a thing in the comic books.
right? No, yes, but the idea that that's already being talked about now is kind of like really.
I hope they introduce Silk. If you're listening to this and you're a producer for the next movie, introduce Silk, please. Can you do that? I would appreciate it. Thank you.
She's cool. Is she? I don't know why I always thought she was Asian.
She is.
She is.
Yeah.
Ah.
Cindy Moon. That's her name.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm
I
not
think Hispanic
stupid.
and Asian.
I'm
I
right.
believe.
I'm right. All right. All right. She's Korean. Yeah. Korean American. She's not even Asian. She's just Korean American. That okay? So I wasn't wrong. All right. Peter knows things. No, the only reason is because she gives me all that vibe with the little mask she wears around her mouth. Gives me the
Oh,
yeah. So that's cool. Maybe why not? If you're gonna add members of the Spider-Verse, literally it's in the name of your movie. So if you're gonna do that, why not? Wow, these are very seductive images of her. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you read the
Google,
what is it, 2016 reboot of Amazing Spider-Man,
yeah.
which is just as a continuation. It's not really a reboot, but they start at number 1 again.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know much about her character, she got bitten by the same spider as Peter, so if they're ever in the same room together, they get down and dirty.
Get out.
So, yeah, that's the thing. That's why they can't never be together, even though like.
It's probably why she'll be in the next movie because he won't be there.
Yeah, like if you're into that OTP shit, the shipping, that's technically who they should be together, but they can't because they would never get anything done.
Right.
It would just be bang 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 bang.
Or will they?
Yeah. Who knows? Her. So these are people who I want, right? Just throwing that out there. It's her, Scarlet Spider, either one. You don't need to do Peter like regular Peter. You don't need to do that.
No, you already did that.
Yeah. So just those two are my top 2 right now.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I could come up with others, but that'd be going too long. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I was stretching. I don't know what that was.
Scarlet Spider does have the probably the coolest, one of the other coolest uniforms as well, outfits, costumes, whatever. It's like, wearing it, like you go to the gym and then you become Spider-Man. That's like
yeah, he's just like throwing it on. It's like, all right, let's do this.
No, I love it. It's great. All right, so I think that's done it for us here. We're about an hour and 20 something minutes in. Unless Antonio, you want to throw something in there? I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to throw something. Before we end it, if you don't know who Steve Ditko is, please know who Steve Ditko is. He's the artist who drew Spider-Man.
Why was there an issue of people not aware?
So at the end of the theater, and it says, in loving memory of Stan, blah, 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 Spider-Man was created by, in honor of Stan Lee and then Steve Ditko. Someone said, who's Steve Ditko? And I was like,
someone said that out loud?
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Ouchies. Oh, man, without Steve, there is no
Spider-Man.
And Doctor Strange, too. He just recently passed away himself about a year. This year, sorry.
This year too.
Earlier this year.
That's the mind insane. and the pen both fell.
And he's a man that was so. There's only like 3 pictures of him.
Yeah.
He's a guy that went. He's like, fuck it, I don't need the fame. Stan was like the opposite, but.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's between those two though. It's not like how Bob Kane and Bill Finger were.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I think it was just a choice for Steve.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful, though. that asshole didn't know that. But hey, what are you gonna do?
I mean, again, an average fan is not gonna know. So, just before you blurt something out, just keep it to yourself a bit, and then Google search. Don't just who is that? And then we have the world in our pockets. Everybody, it's 2018 going into 2019. Just Google it if you don't know who it is.
Yeah, but
don't make yourself an idiot.
I don't know because I kind of agree with you, but then at the same time, there's people that don't know who they might not know. I mean, they know who Stan Lee is, but like, how do you not know Jack Kirby and Steve? Like, yeah, it just bothers me.
I know.
But I guess people might know Jack more than they know Steve because Jack did so much for Marvel and DC, so maybe both. But like, I don't know. It's weird. Get educated, people. Come on.
But yeah, exactly. So before blurting out something, just I don't know who that is.
Yeah, don't be an asshole. Don't be the dick in the theater.
Yeah, and just Google it. It's not, or DuckDuckGo or Firefox or whatever search engine you use.
Oh God, DuckDuckGo. Anyway, so real quick, just a number out of 10. Give me a rating, really quick. No description. Just give me a number.
9.
9.
Yeah. 9.
I go with I'm gonna go up there too. I went like 9.5, 9.4, whatever. I'm up there with you.
High, very high.
Extremely likable and fun movie. So, for those that don't know, because I'm not sure when we're dropping this episode. We might do it Christmas Eve. So, we might drop this Christmas Eve. But for those that are interested, this is a very action-packed movie weekend. For those that didn't know. So a lot of movies have been coming out. You might have heard some reviews from us already regarding that. So I did mention that we're doing reviews on Spider-Man, Mary Poppins, Aquaman, possibly even Welcome to Marwen, and then possibly even Bumblebee.
I'll watch Bumblebee.
A lot of talk about Bumblebee coming out.
I've seen every single Transformer movie to this date. I'll go watch them.
I don't give a rat's ass about that franchise, and I've only seen one movie in theaters.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
And only 2, and they were on a bootleg DVD copy. Apologies, and the rest I've yet to care to watch. So
yeah, I'm gonna watch.
Look forward to an Antonio-led Bumblebee movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be awful.
I've heard it's great. That's the thing. I've heard it's got like a 90. The only reason why
it's great is because my man John Cena is in that movie,
and also Jason Bay. Is that his name? Jason Bay?
Jason Bateman?
No, who the hell is the director that didn't make this movie?
Oh. What?
Michael Bay. There we go. Michael Bay.
Jason Bay.
Former Mets and Red Sox baseball player, Jason Bay.
Yeah, that's like what?
No, yeah, Michael Bay. So, yeah, so you look forward to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is obviously this one. I'm seeing Mary Poppins very soon, Aquaman, and Welcome to Marwen. So, not sure when those reviews are going to be dropping, but they will be coming. Don't worry. So you're either going to have heard one already before you heard this one. I don't know. I'm not too sure yet when they'll drop. So, yeah. This has been a long episode for those that wanted to know. We were going to keep it to like a half hour. But this movie is so fun. So much involved in it. And there's a lot of stuff we didn't even touch. So that's where you as the fan go out and watch these movies and put your money to where your mouth is. Because if you want to talk about it, you should probably see it before you talk about it. That's very true. I don't know how people talk about movies that haven't seen them. Doesn't make sense, but people do it all the time. They're like, I don't like that movie. Have you seen it? No. So how do you... What?
Oh, we're not going to get into that conversation right now.
I hate people like that. But doesn't make any sense. But anyway, you know where to check us out. Facebook, Twitter, online, of those places. Like I said, things are coming, but we don't know when. I don't know what that means. But converse with us. Have a conversation with us. We always want to hear from you guys, and it's really fun when you guys actually do let us know. Always, you can email us at factsnotincluded@gmail.com. You're either going to respond from me, Antonio, and Mike. And same thing I said on Facebook and Twitter. And follow us on all the other places you get our podcasts. Wherever there's a podcast stream, there's going to be Facts Not Included. And also on YouTube, of course. We got these really cool new YouTube videos. Antonio seems to like them a lot. They're really fun. They're made by these really interesting people. I'll give them a shout out if they sponsored us, but I'm not going to do that yet. So, but anyway, those people are great. They're amazing. Thanks a lot to them. And yeah, see you guys on the other side, on the flippity flop, as they say. Peace out. I've been Peter Cabranes, and I've been with Antonio Connolly.
Yeah, peace out, everybody.
Bye.